Get into the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're gonna hit 2 million subscribers in 2025. Subscribe now, and if you wanna buy or sell your watch, anything from Casio up to Richard Mille, brideandpinion.com, you can buy an RM67 like this that was made for the South African sprinter Weet van Nieuwkerk. It's a beautiful...
Made for athletes.
Made for athletes like me. It only weighs 32 grams, so it doesn't show on my scale. By the way, it's not my watch, just to clarify that. Watch owned by a friend of mine called Owen. Let's get stuck in Ben Shapiro. I don't actually know very much about Ben Shapiro. I have seen several shorts of him. He's very articulate. I think he's very intelligent. I think he's like alpha male.
You're the first person to call Ben Shapiro alpha male.
Well, he comes across like an alpha male. Like, I mean, do you not think so? No? Like I said, I don't know the guy. I've never met him. So I don't know very much, but I know some people say he's controversial.
Some of you know I'm a big watch fan, a bit of a watch collector. And so
He's Jewish?
Yeah.
Oh, I learned something today, and that watch he's wearing is shite, so I don't know what the crack is going on with this video. It was actually considered very rude to have the time on your wrist, so what he's saying here is right. They're pieces of jewelry, but actually they're tools. With watches you can measure distance, you can measure speed, you can measure time. Dive watches were there to use during dive expeditions. Well, we don't need that anymore. Chronographs were used to measure distance, to measure speed. Those were the tools that we had available to us. Today, we don't need a watch to tell us the time, and indeed the phone is more accurate, but like watches did have and still have functions.
the first Rolex that I ever got was...
Is this like ABC? What is a watch for dummies?
The basics of watch collecting with Ben Shapiro.
Like, this is well really mad basic, to be honest. What is a case? What is a crystal? What is a dial? Do you think there's...
We can't all be watch experts.
Well, I don't think you need to be an expert to know. Like, do you think my son of 2 years old? No, he doesn't know what to...
Show him this video.
An older Rolex. It was very easy to scratch it, and I got irritated with it because every so often I'd just scratch it, I'd have to replace the lens. Then there is...
Incorrect. Let me explain. 1601, Rolex Datejust, indeed had plexiglass. 1801, Rolex indeed had plexiglass. 1801 is a day, by the way. When you scratch a plexiglass, you do not have to replace and remove the glass. You can polish that. Gone. You don't have to replace, as he calls, the lens, so that's incorrect. So we'll go back to the basics. Vintage watches had plexiglass. At some point in time, don't pin me down the year, and I can't be searching for it. Rolex changed that to sapphire glass, not just Rolex, but several other brands. And yeah, plexiglass, you can actually very easy remove scratches. I would argue to say it's 10 times easier than with sapphire glass, because I don't think you can actually remove a scratch from sapphire.
Those range from aviator watches, which look like a watch that a pilot would use, to racing watches. Most famously, like Tag Heuer makes racing watches. You see those.
Who?
Tag Heuer.
Can we do that one more time?
Tag Heuer. Famously, like Tag Heuer makes racing watches. You see those in a lot of the movies. Diver watches, the most famous of those would be like the Rolex Submariner. So those were actually designed to dive with, so they are waterproof and you can take them underwater, so you can wear like a very expensive...
They're waterproof, so you can take them underwater.
Rolex field watches, which again are sort of a military looking watch. And you have fashion watches. Fashion watches are like Fossil, so they tend to be less expensive. They're just for pretty. They don't have more functionality. They don't look like military watches or diver watches or whatever. If you're just getting a collection started, a fashion watch is a really good way to do that. So Fossil makes really good looking fashion watches. For example, I remember some of my first watches were Fossil watches. They're
Listen, Ben, I'm not taking the piss, right? I find this just funny. And I know you're not an expert. You're not trying. Maybe you're trying. No, you're not. And I really like the fact you're talking about watches. I appreciate that. And I think we should do a video maybe about watches. And we'll talk about your watches and your bezels.
The basics part 3.
When you do a video like this, the foundations need to be right. And the foundations are not right.